Hey guys, welcome to Indie Game Hustle. In this video, we're going to take a look at our add section here. The first tool that we're going to look at is called Duplicate. All right, so the first thing I want you to notice, if you look very closely here where it says Alt, and it has this little hover over this little, what do you call it, triangle, like on the right side. In Alt, that gives you a separate option. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and click that. Now there's two ways to do duplication. You can do two elements and you can do two object. Let's go ahead and do two elements first. So I'm going to select this and I'm just going to do these top two here and I'm going to hit duplicate. What that did was allow me to create an object that's still part of this object, but now we have two separate pieces. And if we hit isolate, we should be able to select those two pieces. So now if we hit isolate, we can isolate here. And if we select isolate here, we can hit isolate. So now we have two separate pieces and that works out pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and delete these two. And the next option, I'm going to go ahead and hit Alt and we're gonna do two object. And I'm going to select these two pieces. And if I hit duplicate, it actually creates a separate piece of geometry. All right, it's pretty simple. And I'll go ahead and delete this. All right, so the next tool we have for adding is beveling. So I'm going to go ahead and select edges. And we'll use the Bevel Tool. And the Bevel Tool is really nice, and we can make changes in the tool properties. You can change the width. You can change it this way as well. You can change how many segments are being required. You can also change the profile. So you can go in, and then you can go out. And that's the Bevel Tool. Bevel Tool is very handy. There's lots of different ways you can use it. You can even use it on a vertex edge. So if I hit bevel, and if you notice, we can do that as well. And we can make some changes like this. You can change the width of it. Really nice. Great. The next tool we want to look at is going and selecting the connection tool. So if we were to select this vertex and then this vertex, what we can do is hit connect and it's going to create us a connection there. And that's super handy as well. And it doesn't do a connection, I think, in this case because it's not connected through it. So I guess what you can use at that point is look at our insert vertex tool and you can actually create that point just like that. And then what we can do is go and click these. Let me get off of this tool, sorry. Let me click here and select these 2 points. And if I hit the connect, we'll be able to make that connection. And if we connect here, we can then make that connection. And now we have the same thing. Awesome. And then we can move this in or out as needed. Another option is the bridge tool. So in order to demonstrate the bridge tool, what I'll do is take this object. I'm going to, let's see, maybe I'll do a Alt. I'll go to elements and then I'll hit duplicate and I'll bring this piece out. The next thing I'll do is I'll select this face and I'll just hit delete. And then what I'm gonna do is create this edge. And what I'll do is select this edge. And so now what I'm gonna do is hit bridge. And what that's going to do is create a face directly to there. And so you can do this for many different reasons, but for now, we're just demonstrating how you can use the bridge tool. Now, of course, I would have just extruded this out, which is obviously the easiest way to do the same thing, but just kind of giving you an understanding of how that could work. But for instance, maybe you want to do something like this, to where I can take this edge and bridge them together. And you can do the same thing here. And so maybe you want to do something like that. There's many ways to do anything in 3D modeling. We could have did this an easier way as well. But again, it just shows the flexibility of what you can do. So for the next demonstration, what we can do is the Subdivide tool. So for instance, I'm going to grab a face, and we should be able to subdivide just this face, just like so. And if you do it, it subdivides it again. And so there's your option there. And you can still extrude things out just like so. Now, what's great about the subdivide, for instance, if I do a completely brand new object, so I'll grab and do a brand new box. And what I'll do is make sure that this box is completely like that. And what I'll do is do a subdivide on this box. So there we go, there. Subdividing that there you go. And then next we have our loop cut tool. So what I'll do is take this loop cut, and as you can see, it's going to kind of find like a flow due to the topology. Let's go ahead and select this one and do the same thing. And so we got loop cuts. And so what we can do with loop cut is interesting. What I'll do is actually create a separate mesh. And so for instance, if I select loop cut, and if I set this to 0, that's going to be our center. So this is your typical right down the center loop cut. And if we hit click, it's going to create some new points. And if I do it this way, click, we're going to get that as well. Now, what you can also do is hold down the shift key and use your scroll wheel to increase or decrease. You can hold down the control key and actually move it manually to somewhere you might want it as well. And we don't necessarily need to do that right now. If you have, for instance, holding down the shift key, I increase, you can move those as well by holding down that control key. And another thing you can do is also do pinching. So for instance, if you want things to come closer together or things more towards the end. And so now we can do something like this, which could be useful. So maybe there's a reason you need something like this. Which is pretty good. And that's going to be our loop cuts. The next thing we want to take a look at is our slice. So the slice is interesting. So you have this piece here, and it's going to slice all the way through the object. So even if you have it at different angles, it's going to slice it however you need it to slice. So what I'll do is go ahead and hit cut. And when we cut, we can make as many cuts as we need. If we don't want it to be on the grid, we can more smoothly make those cuts, which is really good. You have an after cut option here, split only. Let's go ahead and make that and see. And you have remove above, remove below. So let's go ahead and make that cut. And so it kind of cuts and removes the above. And obviously, if we made a cut and remove below, you can remove the cut below, which is nice. All right, so the next tool we want to look at is the inset. So what I'll do is take this object and try the inset on as a demonstration. We'll take that. And as you can see, what we can do is create pretty much like a square or a rectangle, and it's connecting all the different sides here. And what I can do now is take it and I can do whatever I want, which is really nice. And last but not least, we have the Vertex tool. So we want to inset a vertex. So this is basically giving you an option. If there was no connection line here and you needed one, you can create a vertex on that line. And then from that point, you start looking at some of the other tools that you have, like connection. So for instance, if I were to select these 2 points I just created and then hit connect, then we actually create a line there. And if we want to go back another video, we talked about the line tool. I can select this line tool and then I can connect this line here. And then I can go under, hit escape, go under, click this line and do the same thing. Now you could have used the connect tool to do that, or you can make the line tool. Either way, the outcome is the same. And then you can do more things. So that's pretty much for our add tools. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll see you guys in the next video.